Struggling to stay present when life is chaotic? Today I'm sharing the tips and tricks on how we mindfully parent 4 kids while working full-time. And this isn't about being a perfect parent, it's just about being a present one. So if this sounds interesting to you, stay tuned and give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe and tap that bell, and let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rashidies. My name's Beck, and today we are talking about mindful parenting, piggybacking off my whole screen-free video that I did, which you guys seem to love. This is about, well, when you are screen-free, how do you become a mindful parent without technology babysitting for you? But what if I told you that practicing mindfulness with your kids is going to reduce your stress, it's going to build your kids' resilience, and it's going to create a deeper, stronger connection as a family? Studies show that teaching our kids mindfulness techniques is going to have a positive impact on their mental health, it's going to boost their academic success, and it's going to help them to connect and relate with others, especially us as parents. Today I'm sharing the research on why mindfulness matters, and I'm going to be sharing some doable and practical ways that we implement it here as a family. Now, once again, this doesn't mean that I am a perfect parent. I am just going to be a present parent. And I know that when you are running on fumes from a massive long workday, mindfulness is not on the forefront of your mind. I hope these tips help you to connect with your kids and to enjoy family life together. Mindfulness parenting is about presence, not perfection. And it's really easy to fall into the traps that add stress. So we're gonna first look at how we can minimize stress so that you can be at peace and present with your kids. The first is avoid overscheduling. It can become so easy to be wanting to be active in all things all the time, and especially in the lead up to Christmas. There are so many events on our calendar, but it's really important that in order to be a mindful parent that you are reducing the stress of overscheduling. We as a family find that one event per day is enough for us, whether that means we're venturing out to town or we're doing a family gathering, or maybe we're just hanging out at the beach. Whether it be a morning or an afternoon activity, that is all we are doing. We are then going to be at home base and we're going to be connecting with each other. I find if we did do a morning and an afternoon activity, we are stressed, and that tension comes out in our interactions with each other, and it doesn't help our family dynamic. Reducing our schedule is really important, and it also helps your kids when you are just at home to realize what it means to be bored and to figure out ways on how to cure that boredom. They say the best thing is to figure it out themselves. By not overscheduling yourself, your kids are actually going to build that resilience, and you get some downtime, which means you can be present and you're not frantically going about trying to get everything done. Don't overschedule yourself. The second thing is don't aim to be the perfect parent. Psychology Today did some research and presented an article about the stresses that come with aiming to be that perfect parent. I don't know who personally is aiming for that. I think the more kids you have, the more they literally wear you down, and that's just not an achievable goal. Probably when you were pregnant, or if you just have one, you might feel the pressure to live up to an expectation. But for us in our household, we are just trying our best and making sure that we are reflecting on what we're doing. And if we have made a mistake, that we're obviously not going to do it again. But it's really hard when you're dealing with tiny humans who are still developing. It can be triggering for you as an adult because the emotions are high. Don't aim to be the perfect parent, just be your best parent, which for us in the Rashidi household is just being a present parent, because it's so easy to be overwhelmed and to just withdraw. Presence is more important than perfection. The next thing that can add stress in your life can be multitasking. I don't know if this is true, because as someone who is high functioning, I feel like multitasking is the only way that I can function being a full-time working mom of 4. But I understand the principle and the fact that if you are multitasking, you're probably gonna get overwhelmed at some point and snap. That's not gonna help you to be a mindful parent. But researchers say that it's best for you to just do one thing at a time, to stop where possible to be present with your kids, or to even just include them. Even when I had some bananas that were getting overripe, I decided to just make some banana bread, not to waste it. Eddie helped me to peel the bananas and squish them. Then he was all done. He wanted to hop off the kitchen counter, but then Phineas really wanted to stir, so Phineas came up and he helped me with the rest of it and licked the bowl. And it's just one of those things where it was a task that I needed to get done, and I included the kids into it. That way I'm being present with them and I'm not trying to multitask heaps. The other thing that we try with the girls is they help us with the laundry, and then that way we're doing something together. That can be a mundane task, but at least we're being present and connecting with each other. And the last stress avoiding tip is to stop comparing yourself to other parents and avoid that negative talk. It's really easy when you are feeling burnt out and overwhelmed and even overstimulated, that negative self-talk can creep into your mind, which in turn could accidentally come out when you're in that heightened state with your kids. Don't compare yourself to others. We're all doing our best. That's all we can hope for, is that we're doing our best. Sometimes we're gonna have a good day, some days are gonna be bad, and that's okay. The bad days are not gonna last forever. Tough seasons are also not going to last forever. We recently had this conversation with our girls because they were saying that the littles were being particularly difficult, which they are, which made me research into it a little bit more. I said to them, but remember, this isn't gonna be forever. Don't worry about social media and what people are posting or that expectation to be like somebody else. Just encourage and support each other on their parenting journey, because that's the number one thing that we need to do, is support each other. Now, being a primary school teacher, I've done a lot of neuroscience, professional development about brain studies. It's rather interesting because when I observe other parents out in public, sometimes I feel like their reaction rather than response is based off them thinking that their 3 or 4-year-old should know better. Just to make this clear, I am not a professional. I'm just someone who is very interested in neurosciences. Obviously, children are still developing their brain. Their prefrontal cortex isn't really going to switch on until they're about 7 or 8 years old, and then it's not going to fully develop until your mid-20s if you're a woman, and then early 30s if you are a male. To try and think that our children are going to logically reason with us is just a really high expectation for them, but it doesn't mean that we give up on them and that we don't try. I'm going to share 5 tips on how we try to emotionally regulate our kids so that we can practice that mindfulness parenting, because co-regulation is actually really important. That's the reason why early years is super important, about not just letting them have a tantrum and thinking that they're going to figure it out, because they're not. They are going to need us. But let's just have a real moment in the fact that some of these strategies may work with one child and it might not work with another. And you might try all the strategies and it might not work, and that's perfectly fine. Because even if you're in a tough season, it's okay, as long as you are giving it your best. And for us personally, we are in quite a tough season, which is once again the reason why I did all this research, is because we are just trying to figure it out. But even for us personally, we can do all the research in the world. We can go see child psychologists to get more strategies, and sometimes it's just a tough season, and that's where we are at currently, and we're just going to keep on trying until something sticks, because being a mindful parent and a regulated parent is our end game goal. So this leads me to my 5 ways that we co-regulate with our kids. The first one is to name it, the emotion. And it's really important that you provide this emotional intelligence language with them, because our emotions aren't as simple as angry, happy, and sad. We need to be able to regulate ourselves and identify in ourselves how we are feeling, whether that be disappointed or frustrated or let down, annoyed, aggravated. There are so many amazing ways that we can connect with our kids rather than just saying, I'm angry with you. We also give recognition when our kids can identify it themselves and don't necessarily mold multiple emotions together. We have one child in particular who will go from one emotion straight into anger. So when that child is actually able to just have sadness or disappointment by itself without their angry monster coming out, then we really celebrate the fact that they are just working out of that one emotion, because that's the starting journey we feel with that child in helping them to emotionally regulate. Naming it is really important, and they are never too young to acknowledge how they are feeling, whether it be a green emotion or a blue emotion or a red emotion. Researchers say it's really good to do some body-based calming techniques. Now, depending on your child's age, they might do it with you, or you might do it as a mirror option where you're doing it alongside them and they're copying you. With our 2 and 4-year-old, I'm going to be doing it with them, so I might be holding them so that they can feel my breathing, and I can be doing a breathing wall, sort of 3 breaths in, 3 breaths out. And I might be swaying them and tapping, so that way we're just trying to let their brain know that the amygdala doesn't need to be in fight or flight. But then with the older girls, it might look like them doing some tapping, or maybe hugging a cuddly, or the big go-to is cookie breathing, where you smell the cookie in, and then you have to say ah. And that helps you to just reduce your heart rate and to feel a little bit more grounded. Now, this obviously goes hand in hand with the fact that you yourself need to be emotionally regulated, and it can be super duper hard, especially after a long work day. Regulating yourself is really important so that you can regulate your kid. I have learned to just regulate myself with my child rather than trying to figure it out and then coming and addressing the situation. Depending on the age though, because with the older girls, I'm more than happy for both of us to split, regulate and come back. With the boys, I am going to show them how to regulate by doing it with me. Validating the emotion and sitting in it and processing it is the foundation. Then logically identify what it is. Don't feel like you have to identify the emotion as your kid is having a meltdown, because that's just not gonna work. What's one technique that helps you to co-regulate with your child? Please comment it down below because I need all the help that I can get. Now that we've looked at the stresses to avoid and the neurological science on why mindful parenting is really important, let's talk about some practical tips on how we do it here in the Rashidi household. First is mini dates. Now this is something that we've just recently inputted because our girls have brought to our attention that they're feeling a little bit overlooked. It's because the littles are taking so much time and attention because obviously their emotions are really high. Nick and I have decided that every Saturday during rest time for the boys, we are going to do alternative mini dates. So this week I did a mini date with Amira, Mick did a mini date with Zoe, and then next week we'll swap over. It's not your child's responsibility to form a relationship with you. You as the adult need to form that relationship with them. On your mini date, try and do something that they want to do. So that's a bonding experience over their interests, not yours. Now that we are a screen-free family, which I'll leave a link if you haven't seen that video, dinner time is super important because we no longer have screens at all. So having that mindfulness conversation about checking in about the kids' days, maybe certain events that are upcoming, how are they feeling about it, maybe something big did happen and we want to celebrate it. Dinner time is really important because that's your check-in time to be present and available. One thing that the kids really enjoy about mindfulness dinners is we have these conversation starter cards that we were gifted from Kmart, and the kids love them. They love answering the questions. I don't know if it's because they've done something similar at school, but if you need some ideas about how to start those conversations, I will leave a link down below about where you can get them. Another mindfulness tip is to start a gratitude jar, and I think I'm going to start this in the month of December because Christmas time can be a really selfish time if you allow the kids to just be themselves, and it's that whole take. I want to start a gratitude jar during the month of December where we're going to show our thankful hearts for different things, and then I think that would be really cool to read on December 31st. I have a friend who they have a gratitude jar all year, and she and her husband reads it at the end of the year, and I think that's a fantastic idea, and I think that's probably something that I might do as like my 2025 New Year's resolution is start a family gratitude jar. With 2 tips to go, I hope you are enjoying this video. If you are, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up because it really does support my channel. Now your evening routine is extremely important, especially with the older kids, in making sure that you're having that quality time. I'm part of a Bluey's fan page for parents, and it was really interesting because they challenged the fact that kids actually don't really let go of hugs. We as adults let go of our kids. I have been challenging myself to hold my kids as long as they need it, and recently I have been lying in the girls' beds and I've been giving them head scratches and doing breathing regulation with them, and they have gone off to bed beautifully, and I know that one day they're not going to want me or need me. It's just so crazy because like parenting is such a big roller coaster of emotions. I'm really just trying to be present in the fact that while they still want that, I want it too, and I want them to have that connection and memory with me. I am making sure that my evening routines are set in stone with both of them, and Mick and I are coming up with a bit of a routine roster about who's putting the boys to bed and who's putting the girls to bed, because the boys are obviously a lot more challenging being littler than the girls are. We also want to have good connections with both genders of kids. Final tip is, if you can, have 5 minutes before you pick up the kids or when you get home to just regulate yourself, be grounded, be centered, because I know that you know that as soon as that parenting hat is on, it's boots on the ground and you're running. There's no non-stopping, there's no consideration for you. It's all about them and making sure that they're all taken care of, and if you're trying to be mindful and present, then it's really hard to do that from an empty cup. So definitely spend 5 minutes. I am an avid reader. This year, my love of reading has really spiked. Once I've done my workload, I'll actually stay in my classroom for about 15 minutes and I'll just read a book because my kids are at the same campus as me. I'll read for about 15 minutes and then I'll go pick up the kids because I don't get quiet time in the car before or after school. I am running from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. Heightened emotions are just gonna happen. Starting on that clean slate is really gonna help you to be the best parent for your kids. What's a mindfulness activity that you and the kids both enjoy doing together? Because Christmas holidays are coming up and I would love to have some fresh new ideas, so comment it down below. Mindfulness parenting is about small achievable steps. Just a few moments of mindfulness connection with your kids can have a lasting impact with them and building that relationship that is going to last into the future. Remember, it's not about doing it perfectly. It's about being present, showing up in small ways, and being connected to them. Research shows that these little moments are going to make a big difference for both you and the kids, helping with your bond, reducing stress, and just helping with the family dynamic. If you've liked today's video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe and tap that bell because this parenting gig doesn't come with a rulebook, we only have each other. And here on the end screen, I've handpicked 2 more videos for you to keep on watching. So I'll see you over there.